Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Frederick Morano, and I am Council President for the City of Lackawanna, New York. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide citizens with an opportunity to express their views and have an open discussion regarding the local law authorizing council members to attend meetings by video conferencing under extraordinary circumstances. As required by New York State Municipal Home Rule Law, a notice was published on December 27, 2024 and January 17, 2025 in Buffalo Business First, the city's official newspaper, as well as the city's website, social media, bulletin boards, and other public venues. All those in attendance are requested to register at the front of the room at the podium. If you have not already done so, indicate your desire to speak. I respectfully ask that all speakers limit their presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes, as the hearing will conclude promptly at 6:20 p.m. in order to begin the caucus portion of the City Council regular meeting at 6:30 p.m. Just one other thing, please note that the proceedings are being recorded. Any commenters? I don't know who wants to speak.
Right, I think that's the list of attendees. You do just have to ask if anybody here would like to speak, and they will advise whether they want to.
I indicated that at the opening. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak?
Yeah. So my name's Ian Schroeder. I live at 22 Cook Street. I'm sure we all know each other from now.
And this is on the video conferencing proposed ordinance.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, well, I understand that this is on the proposed ordinance. So truly my question is going to be, what is it that is going to qualify as extreme circumstances? And quite honestly, as a taxpayer, as someone who votes, you know, to me it is very important that someone that I vote for is present when it comes to these meetings. And just unfortunately, I feel like we have this potential to go down this road of, you know, what is the clear and definitive definition of an extreme circumstance? As someone who has people that I supervise, I can say that with 100% certainty, my definition of extreme circumstance and theirs truly does differ. So really, if someone could just clarify that. And
if I could just start, and then we'll turn it over to our city attorney. Ian, this was an offshoot of the COVID pandemic when we were all meeting by Zoom while COVID was flaring. And as a result of that, the state decided it might be advantageous under extreme circumstances to allow council members to participate in the meeting, given they couldn't be physically there. And my understanding is it may be due to being out of town for unforeseen circumstances, maybe a death in the family, or you're out of town trying to get back and the weather is prohibitive, or we could have used this evening because if someone is ill, they can, instead of exposing everybody like I'm doing right now, I might have been able to call in and participate by Zoom. And I certainly understand, because it's a concern of all of us too, that these situations can be subject to abuse. If you're on vacation, you're not supposed to call in because that's not an extenuating or extreme circumstance or extraordinary circumstance. But I think it has to be dealt with on an individual basis. And we just hope that it will not be abused, because it affects all of us then. But I'll ask our city attorney, Attorney Gahn, if he has anything further to add.
Very limited information to add. That basically is a very concise answer to, you can't narrowly tailor the law to cover every circumstance, because then if something comes up that wasn't covered and somebody is unable to attend, that would prohibit or preclude that individual to use the video conferencing. On the other hand, is there room in order for abuse? There is. You have to trust that, still according to the charter, the council president is the individual, or that is the position that runs the meetings. So really, it's up to the council president to approve or disapprove whether, if I'm on a hunting excursion and I'm calling in saying, hey, can I do that? The council president, whomever it is, should have the wherewithal to say, no, you can't do that. That is not an exigent circumstance. That is just one less council person that is available for the meeting. So despite you would like to see maybe more language, there's the proposed ordinance, but then there's the protocol in the attachment. Did you read that? Like, that gives some even examples of exigent or extreme circumstances, but it's hard to define as a result of something will come up, and you want that person, if the council president does decide that it's fair for someone to appear remotely, that's why you really can't define it exactly.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian. Anyone else wish to speak on this topic?
So, is the language included where it's up to the city council president to determine what would be, an extreme circumstance? Is that language available in the ordinance?
So unfortunately, I don't have the attachment to the actual proposed ordinance in front of me right this second, but I will say that it is up to the council president to run the meetings according to the charter. And thank you, that the council president would be the determining individual of who gets permission to appear remotely and who doesn't. Like, there's still the overall umbrella, so it would be up to the council person. And, Fred sits there today, but it may be someone else in the future, but truly it would be up to that position.
There always has to be a live quorum regardless of the individual who's participating remotely.
Correct.
Okay, and then in the event where the council president is the one that would be running the meetings remotely, how does that apply given the lack of technology that we currently have?
Meaning the council president would still run the meeting, but that individual would do it remotely. But a live quorum would still have to be here in order to effectively pass any proposed legislation or whatever is on the agenda. But the president would still run the meeting if the president, or excuse me, the president, if the council president is not, if the council president is total absent from a meeting, that's when the pro temp fills the position of running the meeting. But when the council president appears remotely, they're not in absentia, they're there. So they continue to run the meeting.
Okay, given a perfect world, we would be able to see, hear, and he or she would be able to read the room if there's comments from the public or a city council member that would like to speak. In a perfect world, we would be able to see each other virtually. However, given the limited resources, how would that be effective? What would that look like, and how can we apply that?
I've never seen a circumstance arise where a council member was never recognized, because I think everybody here makes their presence known and their desire to make a comment. But it might be someone on the dais may say to whomever is running the meeting, there is an issue here, either in the audience, which shouldn't come up unless it's public, it's a public address time, or that there's a council member who wishes to address the council, and that's usually during the caucus. So we expect some kind of interaction at that time.
So would would that be what we use,
Yeah, I'd say.
the TV?
Yeah, I would basically just mirror whoever's not here on this TV and show it either to the audience and you guys, so you could actually still see them. And they should be able to also see you and the audience as well. So.
I have one other question. Is there anything, any language in there about abuse? Somebody like a councilman, or council person taking off numerous times in a year, where maybe it's time for, to replace that person or something on that effect?
Right, so really, the only one in a position of who could really, really abuse it would be a council president, right? Because the council president, again, you're leaving it up to the council president to give permission to everybody else,
Right.
whether they're able to appear remotely if they have a substantial reason or if they don't. But a council president who would go, and I don't mean to point at you, it's the position, not you as an individual. If the council president were to take advantage of this situation, then it's up to you, and there's other tools in the charter for someone who is abusing their position.
Gotcha.
And ample time has to be, there's a time for notice. It's not, hey, I can't make it today, I'm gonna appear remotely. I believe it's, 4 days?
Well, I think you can, if under extreme circumstances, do it on a moment's notice.
I thought it was supposed to be publicized that it would be remote.
No, I'm gonna say there's something in here that says 2 days, but really it's, if one of you are in a car accident, you're in the hospital, but there's a proposed ordinance on Airbnb, and you wanna make sure your vote counts, then you are requesting at that point to make sure that you get the permission of the council president. I was in a car accident and I'm waiting for my CAT scan, but I still believe I could participate. So I have to reread this, but I believe you're supposed to get it at least, if extraordinary emergent basis, within 4 days of the meeting. If you go to, do you have it in front of you?
I do not,
Okay.
I can pull it up.
The 4-day notice is in relation to the notice to the public that somebody may be participating in video conference. But obviously, that notice would not occur if it was only hours before the meeting and you asked to appear.
Right, which makes me a bit leery because the whole open laws meeting is in jeopardy if proper notice is not provided.
But there are circumstances where that's not possible for the 4 days or 2 days or whatever the case may be.
So why wouldn't that person just relinquish their ability to be present and just be absent?
Well, there's got to be a little bit of trust here. The only other suggestion is you do have a no vote, and that, that's something to consider. But, you could take it to an extreme. Somebody calls in sick, do we require a doctor's note that says to justify that they were out ill? You could take it to an extreme. The state didn't feel it was necessary to include all of these requirements. This is their language. And they're satisfied with that, and I'm sure they had the same considerations and the same concerns. But, and I don't know if in the future, if the thing is being abused, there may be recourse against that particular council member, or we may have to revisit even using this,
So, and as you two are talking, I'm just reading the last sentence of the same paragraph where it says the 4 days notice. The last sentence, it says, if it is not practicable for the Lackawanna City Council to update its notice, the Lackawanna City Council may reschedule its meeting. So again, that goes to the city charter and the power of the council president of, okay, do you want to move forward with this meeting or should we reschedule until councilperson so-and-so is here.
Or the meeting can go on, but that can be tabled, the topic of importance can be adjourned into.
If somebody makes that motion, but it doesn't necessarily mean that such a motion to table something just because somebody is remote, that doesn't mean that it's not gonna be heard. The motion to table something would be denied, and somebody else on the council who is present in the quorum would then make a motion to address whatever is on the table. And then if there's still quorum present, they vote on it and it's still
But it
moving
is a
forward.
possibility other than canceling the meeting completely, where there's other agenda items that need to be discussed. But the hot topic item that I may be absent for, I just may have to lose that date or that meeting, and leave it to the rest of my colleagues to decide on. If I have compelling circumstances that prevents me from attending within hours' notice. Whereas I don't think it's appropriate to be in a hospital bed and making a presence on camera and being in a meeting. I don't think that those types of situations should be required of me to be present.
Well, it doesn't, again, this is an option. This doesn't require you to be present. It is the ability to be of convenience if you have a sick child or a sick spouse, or you have to be somewhere else. So it's one of those things that is for convenience, but similar to the response provided to Ian is there room for abuse? There is. You're hoping that you and your colleagues and the taxpayers are not going to tolerate such behavior.
I have no concerns with my colleagues today, and I want to be very clear with that. It's just that we have to understand that these rules transcend us. These go on to our successors. They're going to be a model for them to also follow in the event when we're no longer here on city council. So, we just want to make it as seal-proof as possible when we are legislating such special rules for remote meetings. But I also have another concern as far as the participation of the residents or the taxpayers, as we refer to them today, in the event that there is an virtual meeting where one of us is logging on remotely, and the ability or inability of the resident to speak at these meetings. I never want to censor any of our residents. I think it's important for them, especially because we only meet twice a month. Any issues that they want to speak about on the agenda, I think they should have the ability to do so. But if this limits them, please inform us on how or if that is something that will limit them in participation, or if it would allow them to freely address any of the agenda topics, even if we choose to appear remotely.
I don't see how that plays in at all. I mean, if a resident wants to participate, obviously, they're given the option, they sign the sheet, they'll be called on to make their comments. This is not a device within which to cut off debate or public opinion. That would be the tragic thing. And I think everybody who's sitting here would agree, no one would intend to circumvent anybody's rights to be publicly heard on an issue. That's not the intent of this legislation. This legislation is just to make it a little bit more convenient in the event that there's something that's pressing that needs to be taken care of, and there are 2 people out or 3 people out and you don't have a quorum. This gives the council an opportunity to meet the quorum and move forward.
Not if there's 3 absents. They can't appear remotely. There has to be a live quorum.
Oh, that's true, that's true.
But Attorney Gahn, is there language, I believe I read that there was language in the ordinance where it does limit if the individual that's appearing remotely doesn't participate vocally, then that cuts off also participants from the audience.
So according to the public officers law, it's a courtesy here in Lackawanna that people are invited to speak. Public officers law, you just have to have a meeting and the public is welcome to the meeting and the public gets to see what is the topics at the meeting, but not everybody gets to comment. that is a courtesy that is offered here in Lackawanna. Based on this proposed statute, though, if you allow people to speak in person in this forum, then you have to allow people on the computer to speak when there is somebody appearing via video conferencing. There is a control aspect that you lose when somebody signs on the computer, on the Facebook, to watch the meeting and identifies themselves as Josh Allen, and then says obscenities or types in whatever they want or asks to make a public comment and then embarrasses someone or something. And they're similar to in the room, a council president can quash such behavior, and then you ask the police to escort that person out. There's potentially a kill switch for a certain individual who's doing that via computer, but on days if somebody appears via video conference, it doesn't mean that everybody has to be, and again, not to quash anybody's right to speak, but those meetings, it is up to the council president to determine whether he or she would like people speaking from the public, which would also include people from the computer, or those types meetings, no public comment, just for the fact that you don't want to open up anyone who's on the computer who you really don't have control and access to. So that's the balancing test of whether you have people speak at the public meeting. If you invite people here to speak at the podium, when somebody appears video conference, that means people on the computer who are appearing via the computer also get a chance to speak. Any questions in relation to that?
Isn't there also a kill switch or a time delay that might be utilized in the event that we experience somebody who's not sincere about what their comments are?
So I'm going to direct that to Gene Oliveri, our IT specialist. Gene?
Not that I know of, for at least like putting out like a buffer, because
Yeah.
our meetings are just live, like there's no, and to that point, when somebody is also appearing remotely, there are other things I would have to make sure are working correctly. So I don't want to have to bounce around between 4 to 5 different things, making sure that whoever's appearing remotely is working, make sure everything here is working, and then have to worry about everybody joining in at the same time.
But you do have that ability to shut that person down if they got.
I would have the ability to
belligerent or-
shut them down, but that,
Yeah,
there's no, it's not like, a live sport where
yeah, I
you cut
understand.
off
Yeah.
those couple seconds.
Yeah.
Send a spike and blow their computer.
Gene, do you think that it would be more convenient if we were to also be logged on our laptops live, so we do constantly see each other's body language and are able to interact with whoever is remote at that time?
If 1 or 2 of you are remote, I would have this screen set up so you would be able to see the people who aren't physically here.
Just like we did during COVID.
Yeah,
But we
so
were
you guys
all
would be
remote.
here and you would be able to see them on the screen also, and they would be able to see you as well.
Right. But we were all remote during COVID and it was really seamless
Yeah.
when we were
Sure.
interacting with
We
each
can
other.
do it
And this is,
partly. It could be done partly, where 3 people are here and 2 are on there. I mean, you can handle that. I think, right?
I agree.
Very good,
All
good.
right, well, it's now almost 7 or 3 or 4 minutes beyond our talking time. Unless there's anything urgent, this will conclude our public hearing, and we would thank all who are here and participated in, and anyone at home who may be watching. Thank you.